Hello everyone. So today we'll discuss about Xamarin Forms. So it is a continuation of the Xamarin tutorials. Xamarin Form is an open source UI framework. So it is used for creating user interface components for the mobile application as well as for web application. So it allows the user to design the user interface component for Android phone or iOS or some Windows application or web-based application. So this is how the Xamarin Form works. So we are having nativity control for Android and iOS separately. If you are deploying your application in Android, then the Xamarin Form platform render for Android will take care of rendering the application. So the user interface components will be rendered as much as close to the Android native display. The same way for iOS also, the platform renderer will render the user interface component as much as close to the iOS native application user interfaces. So you are having shared application code in XAML as well as C#. So XAML will define all the user interface components and C# will define only the functionalities behind the user interface components. The XAML supports, even though we are writing a single code, we can define some of the components separately for a particular operating system. Suppose I want to give some padding or some thickness to the iOS alone, then I can define this statement. So on platform.iOS will define the padding component only for the iOS. So we are having one program which will be executing on Android as well as iOS. While you are executing on iOS, this padding will be applied, whereas for Android it will not be applied. So this kind of platform oriented padding also possible in Xamarin. Next one, we are defining the grid. So actually the aim of this particular thing is we are going to create one calculator, simple calculator, which comprises of addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. So we have how to define the row definition and the column definition. So how many rows we needed, that many rows we have to give as a row height, and how many columns we needed, that much column we need to define. So this asterisk mark is used for giving equally distribute the available width for all the columns. The same way we are given here, for height also we have given, whereas for the first row we have given 2. That means for getting the displaying the number which is pressed or the answer, we are making use of this 2 rows together. So we have given 2 asterisk. Next one, defining the label. So in this area we are going to display something, so we are defining the label in this area. The name which we have given here is result text. So with the help of this result text we can access this particular area. That means if you are setting result text, then the answer whatever we are giving here, that will be displayed in this area. Next we are defining the button. The text 7, that is this particular button we are defining, and we are placing in the row 1 and column 0. So this entire thing black color taken by the row 0, and this is for row 1 and column 0. And for 8 you have to place row 1 and column 1. The same way for 9 you have to define row 1 column 2. And for this operator divider, this operator you need to define the row 1 and column 3. So remaining things, we have background color as white and text color as black, and we have set the border radius and the font, and click the equal to on select number. What it does mean that we are going to define one method in the C# program. So whenever we are pressing this particular button, this on select method will get executed. So while you are clicking this button, on select method has to be executed, that has been given here. And same way we need to define for number 8, 9, also for 4, 5, 6 and 1, 2 and 3. And for 0 we need to define the row 4 and column 0 and column span as 3. That means it occupies 3 columns for displaying the 0. Remaining all same as the other numbers. Next, we are defining the button for divide operator. So in this location it has been given. So row 1 column 3. Here we are calling the next function on select operator. So we have to define this on select operator in our C# function so that it will get what is the operator has been selected. Next one for this C button. C means clear. Everything is same, and here we need to call the onClear method. So that method will clear all the comments. Finally, equal to symbol. So that means we are going to calculate. So we have to call the onCalculate method for executing the operation has to be performed in the calculator. So this is about the user interface design, and here the code is used for defining all the methods or functions. So on select method, that means we are going to get the two numbers. So first number, and we are using the counter state to identify whether it is the first one or second number. If already the first number has been selected, then the number is then you have to store it in the second number. The next method is on select operator. So this will select and it will observe which button has been pressed and what is the operator has been selected. That will be stored in math operator. So in order to identify which operator has been selected, this method is used. The next one, on clear method, it clears all the things. So it clears the first number, second number, and makes the current state to 1, and the result text will be 0. And finally, the calculator, on calculator. So we are having two numbers, first number and second number, and this math operator will hold which operator has been selected. So based on the case, the operation will be performed. After this operation has been performed, here displaying the result in result text.text. So this is the execution environment. So here you are having the code related to calculator program, and this is for calculator.Android and this is for calculator.iOS. We are not going to do anything on these two, and only we are going to work it on this particular page. So here we are having main page.xml. So you can see here. So you are having main page.xaml. Inside that you are having main page.xaml.cs. So in this main page.xaml, we will define all the user interface components, and here you will define all the functionalities behind that. Already I have written the code for all the things. So this is for user interface definition, and next we are having the functionality definitions. So we'll execute. First we are going to execute this calculator.Android. So in the near to the run button, we are having the option to select either calculator.Android or iOS. So first I am going to execute on calculator.Android. It will start the emulator. Meanwhile, already I have executed in Android iOS phone. So this is the output of your iOS application. So now we got the output. So in this lecture, what we have discussed is what is XAML, what is Xamarin Forms, how to create the user interface component, and how to write the functionalities for those user interface component. So the advantage of Xamarin Form is we will create one program and we can deploy it into two different operating systems. So this is your Android application. We are getting the output on Android emulator, and this one is iPhone simulator. Here we are getting the output for iPhone. So single program has been written in Xamarin and it is deployed in two different operating systems. Thank you.